Teach yourself books. Archaeology. Give instruction to a wise man, and he will be yet wiser. Proverbs 9:9. The Teach Yourself books, edited by Leonard. Archaeology. Teach Yourself Archaeology by S. Graham Brade-Birks, author of Good Soil. The English Universities Press Limited, 102 Newgate Street, London, EC1. To Hilda, Mary, Elizabeth and Mary Ann, in spite of what they may think of archaeology. First printed, 1953. This impression, 1957. All rights reserved. Printed in Great Britain for the English Universities Press Limited by Richard Clay and Company Limited, Bungay, Suffolk. Author's Preface. Please remember, you are going to teach yourself archaeology. This volume is really like a lot of small books rolled into one. Their titles are in the list of contents. If you do not find one little book or chapter interesting, especially after you have read the two introductory ones, turn to another. Try number 15, for instance, or numbers 18 and 20, and come back later on to the earlier chapters. The study of the past. Archaeology, Greek, archaeos, ancient, logos, study, the study of ancient things, is a consideration of the things of the past. Sometimes the term is used in a limited sense to include only the study of things of extreme antiquity, like prehistoric implements and earthworks in their country, or the relics of ancient civilizations overseas, such as those of Ur or the Chaldees and ancient Egypt. In this book, no such limitation is implied by the use of the word, and although in these pages we shall seldom stray from our own country, everything that would interest the member of an archaeological society today is comprised in our view of the subject. We are concerned with all that is past. The continuous story of our nation, we call its history. That too belongs to the past. But it is a narrative of events, whereas archaeology is mainly, though not entirely, the study of the things man has employed to express himself. Such things are the surviving evidences of man's past activity. Thus, in archaeology, we are concerned with tools and implements, with art and architecture. We investigate burial mounds, monuments and earthworks, and are interested in all kinds of written records, including, for example, ancient charters and parish registers. Coins, coats of arms and place names are among the things that may claim our attention, and because all these are things invented and used by man in the march of events which is chronicled as history, archaeology is the handmaid of history. So historians draw upon archaeology for some of the evidence which helps them to write the story of human progress down the centuries. Acknowledgements. As every author should, I take full responsibility for statements of fact and opinion made in the book. Nevertheless, I am greatly indebted to a large number of people for help in preparing it, and it will be quite impossible to remember to mention them all by name. Among those I want to thank are Miss M. Keir, Messrs. Frank Higginbottom, Frank Jenkins, William Urry, W. M. Thosby, M. R. Maitland-Muller, Colin W. Walker, Samuel Caldwell, George Easton, Robert H. Goodsall, Ronald F. Jessup, Charles C. Ellum, G. P. Askews, Dr. Cornelius Davis, Professor A.J.E. Cave, Professor Michael J. O'Kelly, and my younger daughter, Elizabeth. I acknowledge with thanks the kindness of authors, artists, publishers, and other owners of interests and copyrights for permission to reproduce material from published works, especially the following: Dr. H.C. Broholm and Miss Margaret Hold of the National Museum, Copenhagen. The Controller of Her Majesty's Stationery Office, the Trustees of the British Museum, Professor Frederick E. Zenua, Dr. H. Godwin, Mr. William Heinemann, the Right Honourable the Lord Moyne, and Professor A.J.E. Cave, Mr. B.T. Batsford, and Dr. Joseph Raftery, Kent Archaeological Society, the Illustrated Carpenter and Builder, and Sydney E. Castle, L.F. Salzman, and the Society of Genealogists. I am grateful to Mr. Leonard Cutts, the Editor-in-Chief of this series, and to Mr. A. H. Dudley Tyus, both of the English Universities Press, for their kind help in steering this volume through the press. Their skill and experience have done wonders in squeezing in most of the things I wanted to say, which would normally have been possible only in a much greater space than is available in a book so modestly priced. S. Graham Brade-Birks. Contents. Chapter 1. Looking at the past, some general introductory remarks. Chapter 2. How, when and where, some further matters of general interest. Chapter 3. Man and Flint, the origin of the human race and a material much used for tools by early man. Chapter 4. The dawn of Ingenuity, man in the Old Stone Age. Chapter 5. The soil that man moves, the soil mantle of the earth as it appears to the archaeologist. Chapter 6. Man, soil, rock, and the earth, geological matters of interest to the archaeologist. Chapter 7. Better tools, man as implement maker in the Mesolithic and Neolithic ages. Chapter 8. Learning to use metal, bronze first used for tools. Chapter 9. They bring iron, the early Iron Age. Chapter 10. The coming of the Romans, evidences of Roman rule in Britain. Chapter 11. Romans really lived here, getting a mental picture of the Roman centuries. Chapter 12. Britain becomes England, the heathen English settle here. Chapter 13. The English came to stay, the period that lasted 600 years. Chapter 14. They knew how to build. Architecture, Romanesque and Gothic. Chapter 15. Glorious building, ecclesiastical architecture. Chapter 16. Man must have a home, early domestic buildings. Chapter 17. Changes for the better, houses attain greater comfort. Chapter 18. The written word, learning to read ancient records. Chapter 19. Some queer characters, mainly about runes and ogham. Chapter 20. The language of shield and jupan, some principles of heraldry. Chapter 21. What's in a name? Place names and surnames tell their story. Chapter 22. The patchwork of the past archaeology covers many subjects. Chapter 23. A complex picture. Teach yourself by taking a wide view of the past. And finally, index and glossary. And then we have the list of illustrations. And I am not going to read all of those. Into our first picture. A Romano-British town at the beginning of the 3rd century of the Christian era. Our artist shows the walled capital of the Belgic tribe, the Canti. This is Duravernum Cantiacorum, the modern Canterbury, as seen from the east. The place had only recently been walled, in obedience to an edict of the Emperor Severus, to resist invasion. In the centre is the Forum, the marketplace, with the law court along its northern side. Nearby is the theatre, the largest of its kind in Britain. On Bab's Hill, a group of citizens are interested in the work of an agrimensor, surveyor. Drawn by L. Bone.